For many years now, Russ and Craig have had many wide-ranging conversations with folks from all over the gaming world. This is one of those conversations.
D6G, the Lost Chapter.
Welcome to Dunkin' Donuts again. And of course, with us this week, we actually have Russ eating very loudly. Is that you, Russ?
Yeah, it was me. Sorry. Very good donut.
But what is it you're eating there that loudly?
A little Boston cream today. I'm waiting for the Christmas donuts. They're not out yet, so I'm eating Boston cream.
Interestingly enough, I haven't even gotten to the part where we introduce sitting across the table from us in Dunkin' Donuts is Romeo. Romeo, how you doing?
Hello, guys.
Hey,
Thanks for
Romeo.
having me again.
Romeo is back, and Romeo is, interestingly enough, Romeo, you having a donut?
I am. I'm upset that they've eliminated the curler, or the crawler, as some people call it, because it had too much of that trans fat that I so much love in my donuts.
Oh.
So I am having some old Halloween donuts that have definitely been on the shelf a while.
Old Halloween donuts. Nice.
They have been, but those were classics.
They are classics.
They were classics. Anyway, so we've asked Romeo to come and hang out with us at Dunkin' Donuts because Romeo has he is a member of a team that has come together to put something new and interesting together, and he would like to talk to us about that thing.
Ooh.
And kind of give the Lost Chapter. This is actually the first place where most of this information is going to come out. So Lost Chapter listeners are the first people who are going to know about a lot of the things that Romeo is about to talk about. We're going to ask him questions and we're going to talk about it at some depth. We're going to leave, no big spoilers. We're going to leave a lot to your imagination because there's a lot moving and shaking behind the scenes. But this is actually a really big exclusive for us, and Russ doesn't know anything.
I thought we were talking about donuts. I was told this would be a show about donuts.
Yes. I was misinformed. This is supposed to be about donuts.
It's my secret recipe.
It is. It's all about the secret recipe.
All right.
Romeo, why don't you tell us a little bit first about this new project, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, so first of all, thank you for having me again on at the donut shop. The biggest thing to kind of underline about this project is I want to emphasize more than anything else how many great people we have as part of it. So the people know me in the hobby for various reasons, be it podcasting, be it bag transport, be it whatever reason. And this project is something that I've had kind of in my head fermenting for quite some time, several years now, but in different, I guess you can almost call it in different facets. At times it's like I watch a movie, I get inspired, I may jot a note down, or other times I may read a small comic or a book or something, and then I get an idea and I think, man, wouldn't it be nice to develop that idea? And as this has been fermenting and as I've had experience in playing various games, it's just been constant like this light bulb just flashing over and over again. And it about a year ago, it really just started kind of blinding me and saying, you need to touch base with the right people that are in the miniature universe and find out if this idea has legs. And at the end of the day, the thing that really kind of grabbed me with this project was that everybody that I seemed to kind of lightly discuss it with lit up and their eyes kind of started glowing and they started getting excited and they're like, tell me more. And I'm thinking, well, I can't. I have to kind of keep it quiet because first of all, it's all just stuff in my head and just a little notes here and there. So more of the story, cutting to the chase. What is this all about? And without spoiling fluff and without spoiling all of the cool stuff that's going to be unveiled over the next several months, I started contacting people that I thought would make this team one of the cooler teams out there based on what their experiences in the hobby. So Craig, of course, I approached him at Gen Con and said, Craig, check out this project I have ideas about. Would you like to test play? And would you like to maybe write some stuff for me? Knowing his experience, and Craig became part of our team very early on. Along with that, we call him the Dark Council. There's a variety of different people involved in this project that are artists, designers, test player, rule designers, and test players. And that, I think, was probably the biggest thing for me, was to be able to take this creative stuff I had in my head and throw it at these different people, Craig included, and seeing them develop this IP. So what is it, right? What we're building right now is a semi-skirmish game, a brand new IP.
Ooh.
Now, what do you mean by a semi-skirmish?
So a lot of people categorize games in two ways. It's an army-based game or it's a skirmish-based game. Right. Skirmish-based, you think Infinity style, you think even Privateer Press a while back was considered a small skirmish. Malifaux, all these great games. Army-style games, you think Warhammer Fantasy, Warhammer 40K, even Malifaux, Mantic, Kings of War, and their games, they've tried to kind of sell as army-wide game, get 60 models, 100 models. Yeah. Semi-skirmish in the game that we're building right now is one where the rules are designed in a way that if you want to put 10 models on the table, you can still have a 2-hour game. If you want to have a 1-hour game with those models, you just change your selection of what models you get in that 200 points. Then you can also build a large force, 20, 25, 30 models per side. So we call it semi-skirmish because you, the player, get to decide what kind of game you're going to play. Do you want a quick in and out, 30, 40, 50 minutes? Or do you want to drag it out and have a kind of a knuckle-down battle royale for a couple hours, several hours, which makes it kind of fun. The game is extremely deadly, meaning that we wanted to create a game where, just like in real life, which you should never kind of do, that people say don't combine real life and board games, or tabletop games. But we looked at something that we call the halo. So every model has a halo of effect around it. This is an invisible threat range. Mm-hmm. There's no charging in the game. There's no rolling random dice to see how far a guy goes. Basically, when a model gets within that uncomfortable zone of another model, they're fighting. So what this mechanic allows you to do is it's almost like watching from the top of a building down and watching guys kind of circle each other, watching out for their proximity, because they know if they get too close, they're going to get whacked. So our game is going to play very much about movement, positioning, strategy based on more of, you know what, that guy's really dangerous over there. His threat range is, his halo, his fighting halo, as we call it, is 4 inches. I got to make sure I'm spreading my army in a way that guy's not going to get and tie me up.
Now, it sounds like to me from that, it's going to be mostly a close combat game, or is there range combat too, or how's that going to factor into the Halo system?
Right. So the Halo system, again, takes care of your combat action. You're moving around when you're trying to ambush somebody, when you're trying to tag team up on someone and take somebody's weapon away because you've kind of locked them up in this Halo. Weapons in the game, though, are extremely long range. So you have weapons that shoot 36 inches. You have weapons that shoot 48 inches. Now, of course, your marksmanship skill, as we call it, is affected by that. And it's harder to hit and manipulate and shoot and destroy a model from longer out as you are, because of obviously the distance that the bullet's trying to travel. But you can still get lucky, which in real life you technically can. If you're a good shooter and you have optics on your gun and you get the windage just right, you're going to take a guy out a mile away, if you're a trained professional. Same thing with this. The game is designed to, if you want to shoot someone and get into a shooting match across a desolate street, you can do it. If you want to get and ambush someone, you keep your threat ranges in accordance so you can get your movement right, and then you can just tie up models and beat the crap out of them. So that's kind of like, in a nutshell, what the game is. Now, what is the genre, I think, is probably the biggest thing. So we created basically the Civil War has happened, okay, just as history writes it. The difference is everything changes shortly after because of an invention and a discovery of a new element and or actually an energy source that is designed from a specific model in the game, a specific character in the game. And this new power source can allow energy to be abundant and last very long. Think of it as the never-ending battery. But this battery can also become a bomb, and this battery or this energy source can be used for weaponizing and so on. And what happens is you take right after the Civil War, where everybody knows it as muskets and six-shooters were becoming popular.
Is with the muskets again.
Here we go.
Oh, the muskets. You don't want no muskets. Instead of dealing with that, technology has kind of run rampant.
Oh, cool.
So the game is a U.S.-based, all of America. The events are happening mainly in the U.S. And it's almost at the turn of the century. And you have a variety of very historic, predominant characters. Guys like Jesse James, guys like Billy the Kid, guys like Ulysses S. Grant, and then some fictional characters mixed in that now all of a sudden have been empowered because of this technology. They're deadlier, they're smarter, they're faster. There's different tech that has been infused in the sci-fi world of the Old West that now has given all of these people, true historical figures, a change. So it is the best way to describe it, a semi-skirmish alternate Wild West, or Weird West, if you will.
Very cool. You can't have too many Old West games. There's not enough of those. Anyway, that sounds really awesome, Romeo. That sounds fantastic. I can't wait to see. Do you guys have any concepts for like what the art style is going to be like, or what the models are we going to look at? Are we going to be looking at like Union soldiers running around, or is there going to be like what's the art direction? Is there a way to summarize that in any way?
So the one thing I would definitely say about the world is it is a world of complete turmoil. Mankind at this point has already seen, the U.S. at least, let's go smaller scale. The U.S. has seen a lot of destruction within itself because of the Civil War. Mm-hmm. And because of that destruction, mankind technically really doesn't trust itself anymore. And various characters in the game have now kind of become almost self-reliant. In other words, I need to survive because I can't trust anybody else. Mm. So there is an evil presence that is constantly, and I won't give away what it's called or what it does, but there is an evil presence throughout this game that tends and continues to manipulate mankind and these different characters to almost puppet them into directions that will eventually lead to their demise. And it is the underlining fluff to the story of these humans constantly. You're telling them, stop, don't listen to that that advice. It's going to get you killed. That's what you want to say when you're reading this fluff. And they're brainlessly kind of, these intelligent people of history are kind of following this guided light and this kind of bad advice, knowing they're eventually going to get to their doom at some point. And more to be discovered in the fluff of what these are and what this entity is and why it's doing this. But as far as the models themselves, the way they look is, it's a darker world. I don't want to call it grimdark, right?
Yes, stay away from grimdark.
It's not. There's no top knots in any part of our game, and we tend not to have skulls anywhere, so there's none of that going on. But there is a constantly feeling of anxiety as you read fluff, as you see images. There is this kind of anxiety and this kind of depressing feel to it, where the sky is always cloudy. Even though it's the Old West and some events are happening in Arizona, New Mexico, all these kind of places you see the sun out all the time, this darkness and this evil that is starting to overcome mankind is so engulfing that it literally is kind of glooming everything down. So how do you explain the models? I would call them beautiful. I think, Craig, you've seen some of the work.
one of the things that Romeo did was when he went just out of pure luck, I believe, from what I was witnessing on from the inside, but on the outside of this particular event, was that like we saw with poor Ross Watson, a lot of computer game companies have kind of been like hitting rocky times. And so you had these designers, these guys that are really good at coming up with these awesome images, and they were like, all of a sudden, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do. And then in my head, what happens is the guy gets a pink slip in the mail, and then goes to the door, and there's Romeo. Hey, I got an idea. You're really, really good, and you're kind of got a lot of free time right now. And so he's got these guys that the design aesthetic and the design element behind the models and the images that you're seeing are just really absolutely 100% top notch, and they have this gritty realism to them that carries through the sort of grim reality that he's created with this. And when we were talking, or for those of you who will be listening next episode, when we will be talking about the fluff of Infinity, where Romeo is talking about one man who knew like everything, that would be Romeo for this whole project. Romeo and I have probably at least one meeting a week, usually two, and they get into the nitty-gritty detail. And I am here to tell you that when he tells me something, and I have reams of notes, and then I go and I kind of formulate it and put it all together. And then when he sees it the next time, he's like, "Oh no, this guy was over there doing that thing." And I'm like, "Oh no, Romeo, in my notes, oh crap." And it's like literally Romeo like has this whole world in his head. Awesome. And knows exactly who these people are and what these people are doing and when they're doing them. And he's very much open to my creative input also, and it's sort of evolving. But this is really like Romeo's put together this amazing team, and he's kind of let all these different guys go in their direction. And I'm telling you, like, I get artwork like once every couple days that it's just like you get blown away by the pictures and the images and the quality of the art. Or you get these models. Or yesterday I was like, "Hey, Romeo, we got any painted models yet?" And he showed me just one picture. I was like, okay, never mind. I mean, it was just like awesome. Literally, you can tell that he's been slowly meeting these people. I'm humbled because I don't know that I meet up with the skill level of all the other guys on this team, because I can only tell you like the quality of every element that's come into me so far has just absolutely blown me away with a totally unique. I mean, you're looking at it and it's not anime and it's not 40K over the top and it's not, cartoony. It's very much there. I mean, there's different elements of everything that's tripping forward, but all of them sort of tie together with this realistic, but at the same time superhero almost element. I mean, it's just really, really a really cool, very unique, I think, aesthetic.
Oh, wow.
And something that Craig touches on is, by the way, I don't think we've even mentioned the name of the game. So the game is called Wild West Exodus.
That's what I wanted to ask.
And if you guys are looking for the website, there's a website, wildwestexodus.com. My biggest thing was with the creation of this was I'm one of those people where I'm never too proud to learn something new. And I wasn't about to say that I'm the best painter in the world, so I don't need a painter. I wasn't about to say I'm the best digital graphic designer, so I don't need a digital graphics guy, or the best sketch artist. So going and finding these different people, and specifically for Craig's purpose, I am not a professor. I'm not a teacher. I'm not a grammatical genius. What I am is a great storyteller. I'm probably a good pitch man from what people have said, and I have, as my wife tells me, a ridiculous imagination. So that's my part to bring to this as far as the team. Now, what the team gives back to me is constant feedback and constant idea creation. So, for instance, Craig, being such a huge part of this, his ability to kind of analyze and throw tidbits of actual true history. I mean, I didn't excel in history, but I was a B student in history. So, yeah, I still have to go to Wiki or I still have to go to Google to kind of fact check my stuff. But in the end, I mean, I do have some concept of most of the history that we're infusing into our fluff. Mm-hmm. But to have Craig say, no, actually, this guy did this. And then to go back and say, oh, damn it, I was off by 5 years. That guy died. So, oops, we gotta either bring him back to life through some secret little trick or remove him altogether because he's going to break my whole flow of what I was thinking. Those kind of aspects really help out, and that's what each part of the team does. The conceptual guys, I'll draw a really horrible sketch. I'll send it over to our concept draw guys. They'll laugh at me usually, which is the first email of, "Wow, that is a terrible elk," or that's a terrible ninja. Not that we have elks or ninjas, but I'm just saying.
Ninja elks. Ninja elks, Romeo.
We do have demonized elks, but that's in a later topic another time. But when they look at it and they say, okay, I got what you're saying. Let me read your synopsis. And usually I write like 6 paragraphs on what exactly I want. Like his left leg needs to have this on it because later on in the story, he's going to be reaching for this in one of the stories and he's got to have it on the model or else it's not going to work. People are going to be like, well, he doesn't have that weapon. What the hell? These kind of things, these concept artists of ours and the then graphic guys are what it really excels. Now, what we do different in this game that some companies are now doing, actually a lot of companies are doing, is we went completely digital with our sculpting. I felt that I wanted a consistency level of the game to match from day 1 to day 365. And doing that can only be really achieved through the power of the computer. So we have a team of 6 sculptors, digital sculptors, that all have a parameter, basically a skeleton that they work off of. And this is what our entire game is built around, this generic skeleton. So what that's going to do is bring a very nice consistency to the game. You're not going to have models that their heads are too big or their legs are too long or their arms don't make sense. Everything's going to flow, so it brings a very realistic look to the models. And as we start putting up pictures of the different models that we're doing, I would welcome people to check out the wildwestexodus.com website to see the preview pics in the concept art, because there's a lot of it in there.
Let me ask
that's going to be going up soon.
Let me ask you guys this, because this is really freaking awesome, if I may say. Craig,
have you been going to it while we're talking?
Well, I went to your website, and of course, it's just a big logo that says "coming soon." It's got a countdown,
well, of course.
which is awesome. But
Romeo, can I send him what you sent me last night, really quickly?
Absolutely.
Okay, Russ, I'm about to send you a little something.
Okay, so
is it the cover?
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's kind of so the game, again, the models themselves are going to be very realistic. You're going to find that in our game. When you look at the models are going to scream out to you realism. You're going to find that when a guy has kind of a grinning mouth and a grinning teeth, you can associate, that guy's angry. I can see the anger because his mouth is designed that way.
Nice.
The other thing about it is, which I really, really like, is the sci-fi portion of it that is infused is done in a way that makes sense. In other words, the guns, although they are sci-fi in nature, they're not oversized. They don't look silly. There's not these contraptions. I mean, I don't want to knock 40K. I loved 40K for many years, and I still have a lot of love for the game. But you'll see some weapons that just make no sense. I mean, like a bolter round in the magazine is half the size of the actual hole in the bolter muzzle, which that bullet's going to bounce around in there like a hot dog down a hallway. So you can't really you can't, that doesn't make sense to me. So when I looked at our style of it, I said a barrel hole, if the bullet fits, it needs to be the same size. Now, so you're going to find a lot of this realism that makes sense in the design of the actual models.
All right, so Craig has just sent me this awesome, amazing artwork, and two things jump out about me about this amazing artwork. First of all, it's freaking gorgeous. It is beautiful, and I want to talk about the art style in a minute. But the second thing I noticed about this is not the artwork that goes on the cover of a game box, Romeo.
No, it does not.
This is the artwork of the cover of a comic book.
Yes.
Yeah.
What's up with that?
Okay, so my insanity, as you guys know, I try to sleep 1 hour a day because that means I'm wasting 23. So I need to be working as much as possible. So when I decided to approach our team and bring this concept to them. It wasn't about, hey, let's make a model game. Let's make some toys and play on the tabletop. I wanted to create a universe. I wanted to create an IP. I wanted to get all this junk that's in my head out, like get out and let's and relieve me of this stress once and for all. If people think it sucks, great. It's just out of my head.
Okay.
But the way to do that, I felt naturally, was a rule book, although a great way to transplant the information from a person's creative side to a way for the reader or the player to enjoy is nice and easy. The other way is codexes and mini rule books or whatnot, as other companies do. But we felt like the story is so much more engulfing. There's so much more to it that a rule book just doesn't do it justice, or a biannual or a once a year, once every 3 year new book release. I felt like the fluff should be organic and it should incorporate a lot of what readers and players of the game will suggest. Naturally, when a fan is a fan of a game,
right,
they have an opinion. Now, this opinion can sometimes be a good opinion, sometimes it can be a very critical opinion, but at the end of the day, it's an opinion of some kind, and it has validity because a person took their time to express it. So one of the things that I wanted to do is I wanted to not only write the prehistory of the game. What has happened? Why are we at this calamity of in the moment that the game starts, where you buy your first model? But what happens now? Are you left at your own accord to make up scenarios, to kind of fight across the table an imaginary story that you kind of built up in your head? No, we want to help the gamers along. So what we've incorporated into the launch of our game is an entire comic series.
Wow.
So we're not just building an IP. We're not just building a game. We're not just building models. We're writing a comic to go with it from day one.
That is awesome. So can you tell who's publishing it or anything yet, or is it still too early to say?
So what we've decided to do, because this is our commitment to the IP and to the game itself, is for us to publish it.
Oh, wow.
As a company. Outlaw Miniatures, which is the company that is running this, is we've decided to publish this game, to do the comic book, because we have the right people in place. Mike Nigro, which is our artist, was one of those guys, like, you go in your backyard, you've lived there for 20 years, you go in your backyard, you decide you're going to put a pool in, you open it, you dig a hole and you find Jimmy Hoffa's body in it. You know what I mean? Like, holy shit, we've had Jimmy Hoffa back here this whole time, That's how Mike is. He's one of these guys where you're like, oh my God, he is the most talented guy, that you could find at a bargain rate. Not really a bargain rate, because it's not about money for him. It's like, yes, I love this concept. I love what you guys are doing. I want to be part of it. Here's my skill set I'm bringing to the team. Now, let's put Mike aside, because visually that's what you're seeing there from that picture.
Yeah, it looks fantastic.
Work, okay?
Holy mackerel.
Then you bring Craig into the mix.
Romeo said there is a skull.
There is.
Okay.
Yeah, there is a skull, but it's
one skull in the whole game, and it happens.
Yeah, but it's not really like a skull, but it's a.
No.
He's wearing he's wearing like a skull. It's cool because it looks like, just so our listeners can understand what this looks like, because I'm really trying to. You're right. I was like, is it steampunk? What is it? It's really its own thing here. But
one thing I want to make sure I clarify is there is nothing in our universe powered by steam.
Right.
So
it's by this new power. So it's whatever this is. But it's it looks like a Union officer of some kind, because he's got the wide brim blue and it's got the U.S. Crossed rifles from the Union soldier there, and he's got the yellow braids and everything on there, and he's obviously wearing a big Union coat. But then where his face should be is this really ornately manufactured, I guess, steel mask that looks a little like a skull with giant blades sticking out on the side. One of his eyes behind is you can see through the eye slits of the mask. You can see both his eyes. One of them is sort of looks like it's a very wrinkly and damaged skin of a tired but determined sort of bloodshot eye, and the other eye is like this glowing red demonic visage of like a man possessed. So you have this person who's obviously part human, but who's been mauled by battle, I guess, and is hiding his face with a mask, and yet part somehow demonically. There's like a whole story right in this image. It's really blowing me away.
And that was ridiculously accurate, Russ, for somebody who's just looking at this and hearing about it for the first
time. And I just saw this in like 30 seconds. I'm like, oh my God. I mean, literally, it just jumps at you and says, I want to open the cover, and yet for some reason my screen doesn't turn. I want to see the next panel to see who this person is.
So the one thing I want to touch on, so we covered Mike, our artist, not a graphic artist. He's a pencil artist. He's a comic book artist. But let's bring Craig into the mix. Now, one thing Craig touched on is, we have meetings on the phone. I tell him an idea, and then Craig goes berserk on it. And then I either reel him in or push him further or send the direction the right way. One thing I have to say is every line you will read in our comic book series from day one to day whenever, until Craig demands more money and I have to fire him. I'm just kidding. No, but the one thing that is really important to understand is that what you're reading is Craig's writing style and translation of the ideas circulating in my head. So, and this is funny because you're in the room, Craig, so it's really creepy that I'm talking this way. But what Craig's able to do is he's able to really kind of see almost in my head and then portray it in a very cool, artistic, fun way, in a way that is captivating to the reader. So he may not completely visualize what is in my head to see kind of the image and what these models look like, because some of the stuff he hasn't even seen the models yet because they're super top secret. Mm-hmm. So yet he's still able to write a full-on story about it. One of the things I'm sending him in the next several days is issue 2 all the way through issue 6, which is the first year of comics, and he'll be able to finally kind of visualize the storyline and where it goes. But that is one of the biggest things that I'm proud of our team, is that the guys involved are involved for all the right reasons. It's of course everybody's getting paid, but everybody's involved for the right reasons. They're involved because they see the potential of this. They want to see where this goes, and they're all adding their own tiny little bit to this imaginary world I have to make it everybody's. And you'll be able to pick this out very quickly because you'll see certain segments and certain bits and bobs throughout the universe, and you'll almost eventually be able to pick out, that's a line Russ would say, or I'm sorry, Craig would read or write. That piece of art, that's definitely from Mike. This other piece of art is definitely from the design team because it's a little more video game-ish and more sculpted, which is one of the main things I really wanted to create and do for the game is give it kind of a team feel, not just a, hey, look, I made a game, you should play it kind of thing.
No, I'm just so pumped and excited for all you guys and everybody involved in the project, because this, just from seeing this one cover, it's just clear. First of all, the quality of it. I mean, I don't know how anyone could walk by this comic book cover on the shelf and not at least pick it up and look at it. And just the amount of depth here and knowing who's involved, it's going to be fantastic. And I think it's really brilliant also because I know when Craig and I got involved with Dust Warfare, which we really enjoy a lot, one of the things that sucked us right in was there was a comic. We were trying to, because the world's so interesting there too, and it's like, how do you digest this quickly? And there was a couple comics, and the great thing about comics, especially to attract miniature gamers, is it's a visual and storytelling medium at the same time, and that's exactly what miniature gaming is. So it's a really great connection, because now I'm going to be like looking through this comic going, I can't wait till they make that model, and I can't wait till they make that model, and I better get that model. I'm going to be calling Romeo next week, because that's I think what's going to be fantastic about it. I just can't. So I guess the big question everybody and their son's going to ask is, A, when can we or somebody share this picture so someone else can know what it looks like, and then B, when do you think some of this stuff's going to hit the streets?
Okay, so one thing I want to definitely point out about the comic before we jump off of it is that the biggest thing about the comic that I really wanted to make sure was involved in it was, in every comic book there's always a fight or a major action scene. Mm-hmm. Think of it like a car chase in a movie. Every one of our stories has 1, sometimes 2, even 3 major fight scenes between the various factions that we have in the game. And from those various fights in each issue, at the back of each issue will be the exact rules for that layout of that exact fight that you can then play on the tabletop.
So it's like a battle report.
Like a battle report,
nice.
But left to you to relive, if you will.
Yeah,
well,
the mission for that battle.
Exactly. So what that will allow the reader to do is, when a new character is introduced, they will first be introduced into the comic. So you'll first see, let's say it's a model that's really good at shooting stuff, okay? And he has a really high-tech, and not that I'm hinting anything right now, but I am, and he has a really cool tricked-out rifle that he's able to take guys out at a very long range. You're going to see him in the comic. You're going to read about one of his mini adventures. You're going to see who he fights with and what his style is and his dialogue and how he talks. And is he a potty mouth? You know, is he a guy that is a kind of a Billy Badass? Is he more of a subdued, quiet guy that doesn't say much but is deadly? You know, you'll see that first before you actually can even go to the store to pick up your model.
Wow.
From there, you'll have the exact mission. Let's say there's a bank robbery that's happening between two factions, or the good guys versus the bad guys. Again, not giving too much away. Let's say the good guys are trying to rob a bank, and the bad guys are trying to rob a bank. The good guys are trying to stop them. You'll have this top-down view of how to lay out your terrain, what the good guys have, what the bad guys have, how many guys, so on and so forth, and really what you need to do to recreate this. And then the result's up to you. You know, have fun with it. So each individual comic has a reason to be owned. Outside of a great story, you have the ability to learn and constantly evolve with the game. What else is really neat about the comic that we really want to drive home is as the story progresses and as you see these characters being unveiled to you and going on forward, at the end of each year there will be a graphic novel that puts them all back together for you in case you're not a subscriber, you missed an issue. And there'll be additional fun fluff that's given just in the graphic novel. But it will combine all the different missions you've had into one area, so you don't have to go out and buy another missions book.
Right.
Or another thing. It's literally all there for you. It's just part of the deal. You're getting a cool story. You're getting all the other stories put together, and you're getting 6-7 new missions that you can play with your buddies. So every year you're kind of rewarded for following the fluff.
Well, what's also great about that is, you know, so many of these games now have evolving stories, which is fantastic. We all love it. But at the same time, to go back as a new player and follow the story, you've got to buy all these expensive rule books or something. This is a great way to get the combined. You know, you can quickly catch up on the entire story. It's also great, you know, it's a great way to supplement the game without having to be just another one of these catalog magazines. It's just these magazines subscribed to now are really just a giant catalog for the companies. Right. It's great to see that. Well, this supplement actually is a new story, fantastic artwork. Oh, and by the way, there's a scenario you can play in there. Oh, and by the way, it's going to kind of tease what's coming out in the future. It's just all rolled into one in an amazing presentation package. If it can continue to look like this cover does, I mean, that's all I've got to look at right now, but it looks fantastic. So I think Romeo, I think this is a really very interesting and clever way to bring it out, and also very exciting.
These are the things he comes up with when he's walking between golf holes.
It's actually between my How to Hit Golf Balls podcast.
Right. See, there you go. So, go ahead.
You did ask briefly, when is this game going to get released, and what's the kind of process of it right now?
Yeah.
So again, we've been working feverishly for months on this, for quite some time, and you know, Craig's come on in the last, I want to say, about 2 months, Craig, maybe even 3 now.
August, actually.
Yeah. So quite some time since
I was in the parking lot of Wendy's instead of going to game night one Tuesday.
Yeah.
Hour and a half told me the whole story.
There you go. So the thing about it is we've been working on it quite some time, and we've invested a lot of resources into it because we do feel strong that it has some success in it. But like anything else right now, there is a module and a format of presenting this type of artistic idea to the general gaming community to see if they're interested, and that's done instantly by their money being invested in it to see it come to life. And that's Kickstarter. Everybody knows it. Everybody's seen the success in the gaming world, and it seems like every day someone is making a Kickstarter. And we really don't want our company to be felt like that, like, hey, here's a guy in his closet that decided to make a game and he wants all our money. It's really not what it is. We've talked about it in detail on where will this go if Kickstarter is or isn't successful. Do we even do a Kickstarter? And at the end of the day, what a Kickstarter does for a company like us that has already committed funds to the project regardless if we chose to go to Kickstarter route or not, it allows us to fast forward our production to where the gamer is not waiting for the next best thing. He's not sitting back saying, how come you're releasing only 2 models a month? Oh, right, you're finally releasing 8 models a month, or you're able to hit every faction, or this comic book is getting a second run, and you got picked up by a publisher because you're able to dedicate more artists to it, or more whatever. That's really what the Kickstarter for us is going to be. Is it's going to really allow us to bring all of these ideas we have to you, the gamer, quicker, and do it even more professionally than we already kind of plan on doing it like. But that Kickstarter, as a lot of people have seen this weird ad here and there, it says something wicked is coming February 1st, 2013. So that date is actually the date that our Kickstarter launches, and we really kind of unveil the line in its full glory. Now, on our WildWestExodus.com website, obviously on our Facebook page and Twitter account, you can follow us and like us on those 2 accounts. There's going to be sneak peeks of things that are put up there also. There will be, I promise you, inside pages of the comic itself that you guys will be able to just get a little sliver of.
Nice.
We plan something cool on Christmas Day for everybody that we want to release and reveal. And it has to do with some of the fluff and a really cool part of the story that Craig wrote that I think is just an amazing read. It was probably one of my favorite parts. It's like a huge cliffhanger. So that's going to be released out. But February 1st, obviously there's going to be ads for it. We're going to use the normal channels, Bell Lussells, Beast of War, Daka, guys like yourselves, to promote that event and that day. And then it's really up to the gamers. We can only do so much. And if people find that this concept, this idea, this world we've imagined as a team is worth your invested dollar, we greatly appreciate it. We will invest it directly back to you, the gamer. If it's something that you want to wait on and see how it develops, I think you guys know me. I'm a determined person, and I surround myself with great people, and those people are determined in this case. So the folks that are involved in this are going to deliver to you top-notch stuff. So we hope people like this silly dream we kind of cooked up.
I think it's awesome. It's really going to be exciting to see it grow. And I think, as you said, I mean, you guys have a great team, and it just looks really, really cool. And I think it's a great genre to get into. I think. So I have to ask you a couple of favors. One of them is, are you going to have 4 factions at launch? Because if you don't, I think it's a mistake.
How many factions you said you want?
4 is the minimum.
There is actually 4, and we actually have the concepts for 8.
Oh, good. So, well, as long as you have 4 at launch, you'll be fine. And then the other question I have is there going to be an index and a table of contents in the rulebook?
Yes, I think that has been something that a lot of us have said.
Oh, good.
It better be there, or else someone's going to get in very big trouble.
All right, I'm happy now. I'm happy. All right, good.
Yes.
Well, that's awesome, Romeo. So that's fantastic, and I think it just looks really, really good. I think the only way to get a feel for this is it'll be great when people can start seeing some of the artwork on some of the concepts and some of the stories to really get a feel for what it's going to be like. But it just from the beginning now, and just from obviously knowing who's involved and some of the dedication those folks have, it's very exciting to hear about.
Yeah, and I would welcome people to check out the website. Again, that is the ideal place to see the latest graphic art, the latest models, painted and unpainted, 3D sculpt and concept drawings. You'll get a real good feeling for it. And we really, I think, our game is politically correct enough, because that was a very trying time in U.S. history. Obviously, you can imagine, if you know anything about U.S. history, the turn of the century was problematic for a lot of different types of nationalities in the U.S. But I think we touch on them in a very politically correct way, where everybody's out to kill each other. There's no more. It's like battle of the fittest. It's no longer like either what color, what creed you are, what you believe in religious wise. It's like everybody's doomed. So let's just fight. Which makes
it's that
it really
thing
cool.
where I'm not prejudiced. I hate everybody.
There you go.
Yeah.
Little
Yes,
dirty
very
Harry
much
goes
so.
a long way. Right.
Yes.
Nice. That's really awesome, guys. I'm so excited. I can't wait to see more of this stuff. That's fantastic. I'm sure everybody's listening to the same thing. So the website again is what now?
WildWestExodus.com.
Nice. Right now it's got a giant badge like Marshall logo with W's, twin edges of W's crossing into a mighty X. Looks pretty cool, along with flaming letters and a countdown clock, which must be the Kickstarter date.
Yes, exactly what
There
that
you go.
countdown is, and people have asked why that's there, and that's now revealed for the first
There
time.
you go. It'll be the Kickstarter date, so that'll be more. So will the site, until those 57 days from now, we're recording it's 57, will the site just be a logo until then, or can they expect, if they visit sooner, will they start seeing some images and stuff?
So you're checking this out as a recording, which obviously
Yes.
is a few days before this actually goes live.
Right.
When people are listening this live, the website would have been already updated with all of the latest. Literally, our guys are working on it right now. I've been getting text as we've been doing this interview.
Nice.
Probably screaming and last minute people going nutso and telling me that this is broken or this isn't working or
Help
something
me.
that's going to keep me up all night again. But yes, when you go to it for the first time, you will see concept art, you'll see the models, you'll see painted models, you'll see this cover of this comic that
I was going to say, they need to see this cover so they know what the hell I'm talking about, 'cause this is awesome.
And
right
then
here.
there'll also be some pages of the actual comic in
Oh,
the pencil format
cool.
that Mike has drawn that do not have the text because that we're not going to reveal
So
until you actually.
you're telling me that it's going to be live when this episode goes live, so if I post this right now, it'll be up there then, right?
Yes, so if you post that, yes.
I want to see it.
No.
No. So we're going live on Monday, so next week then. Well, it'll be now when you hear this.
It'll
Awesome.
be. It's actually, in real time, it's going to be up tomorrow.
Okay.
In fake time, it's up. So
Oh, good. Okay, good. So by December 10th, when this goes live, it'll all be up and you can oogle at it. It'll be awesome. Very cool.
Yes, it's very cool. And I would welcome Craig to send you the painted version of that model if he has it readily available. I
cool.
think that will be an interesting reaction.
Yeah.
From
Send
me.
it. Come on, Craig.
I could find that. Yeah. Let me.
You have that? If not, I could probably. I could probably
That's
send
really
you
cool.
a picture to wet your whistle here as we do this. Nothing like waiting for people to
Right. This is good radio here.
email each other.
I'm going to see some
while on the
emails.
radio.
This is the sound of email being sent right here. This is it. This is it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The internet at work.
it's kind of lost. I'm not sure if I would.
How could you lose these images, Craig? Come on now. How are you inspired
I
to
got
write
you
with?
covered, Craig.
Because I
Just
have
make small-
about 8 billion of them.
Craig, make small talk, Craig.
Send
Just
me
make
all
small
of them.
talk.
Send me all
So
the
anyway,
images.
Russ, the key is like the fact of the matter is that this is so in depth, and when Romeo came to each of us, his ideas were so developed already, and so layered that it got every person so excited about their particular element that it was almost like, holy crap, I can't say no to this. This is something that not only I think is there a huge market for, is there a niche that's gone unfulfilled really? It kind of strikes on so many, irons that are already hot or that are just heating up. And the story is so rich and in depth that, like I said on last episode, where the writing, there will be more than a novel's worth of writing, of narrative, which is actually in story form. It's not like dry history text of, and then in 1347, blah, blah, blah. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but this is all
Right.
actual narrative stories of how the characters developed and ended up. Basically, what it does is tracks them from most of the real life people. It tracks them from the point in history where they really were real for us in our history, and then starts to show how their history has altered to become the history of Wild West Exodus,
Nice.
and what influences have brought them to, for instance, a very, very easily recognized historical figure into that demonic visage that's on the cover of that first comic. And there's a very, 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 very ornate, intricate pathway with these entities that are slowly sort of like just nudging people in the right direction for some purpose that nobody can even really guess. And it's like, oh yeah, they're on that guy's side. Holy crap, they just tried to kill that guy. I mean, it's like, there's
Wow.
the story itself is so intertwined, is so rich, is so heavy with detail and just fights and the bloody history of the actual time period is wrapped up in. You'll see battles that you recognize the names of, but then you'll be like, I don't think that's exactly how that went,
Right.
And so it's really a question of just this rich universe. Like he said, like Romeo has been talking from the very beginning that we're building an IP. We're not building a game. We're building this world that is real from whatever angle you look at it. And my goal has been, as I write up each faction I want it to, like you to read it going like, oh yeah, I could totally see this. I want to be that guy. And then you read the next one and like, holy crap, no, I want to be this guy. And so each faction gives you this, there's a reason that everybody, and like, I think one of the driving philosophies of my writing, and it's always been there for me in my acting as well as where it comes from, is that no one is the bad guy of their own story.
Right.
None of these guys are like, ho, 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 I'm the bad guy. Every one of these guys thinks he's the good guy.
Yes.
He's fighting for the righteous cause, he thinks, and he's doing bad things, but he's doing them for the good reason. And that's
awesome.
It's that sort of that gray morality that really infuses. There are good guys, but even the good guys aren't really. It sort of takes that sort of catch-all from 40K and war. Every good war game's got to have that thing where everybody's got to have a reason to fight everybody.
Right.
But it's more like. I'm the good guy. No, I'm the good guy. No, I'm the. And everybody's fighting this righteous cause, but what they don't realize is that most of them are being manipulated throughout their entire lives, and many of these stories go back, and you see the first moment of manipulation occurs when. They're an 8-year-old boy, or they're a 17-year-old prodigy giving their first lecture at a university, or. It goes all the way back to the very earliest parts of their consciousness developing, and they're being nudged along these paths that bring them to this really dark present that we've created.
Oh, very cool.
And the entity that is doing this manipulation is very strategic in what it does. It doesn't have the ability to truly kill mankind itself. It doesn't possess the ability to actually take human life, but it does have the ability to force humans through subliminal information and twisting of things that actually then makes that person take a life. So like Craig touched on, every character, when you read them, you'll think, oh man, this is definitely the good guy. This guy's definitely got to be the right guy here. But then you realize, wait a minute, he's killing just like everybody else. Is he doing it because he's the good guy, or is that what this entity is trying to get it to do? And you're constantly in flux, trying to figure out who's good, who's bad, why are they being good or bad, and what's the end game. And really that's kind of the driving force of the comic. That's the driving force of the rules and how characters will be revealed. And one of the big things for us in our game is these are going to be some of these characters are going to be very much like superhero, like the Hulk and Superman and Batman. Have we said that we're going to kill some of these major characters? No, that hasn't gone that far yet. But I can promise you that the day will come when something will happen to a very important character / model in the game and in its fluff. And it will be one of those pivotal moments where you think to yourself, holy crap, did that really just happen? And why did that just happen? This was my guy. Like, I knew this guy was my guy. I've been reading his stuff for so long, and now this guy is doing completely opposite thing, or he's dead. Like, what? So these are some of those kind of twists and turns that we have planned as you read the stories and as the IP develops and becomes an ever-growing universe, which is a big deal,
Yeah.
In driving it. Now, did that email come over? I'm curious.
It did. I wanted to ask you, but so can I talk about these pictures because they look fantastic?
Yeah. No, you're more than
that
again.
Picture's already on Beasts of War. No, not that picture.
So,
but an image of that picture.
Which one? The werewolf?
Sculpt of that.
So I'll just go through the ones I got here. So we got the cover. We already talked about the cover. Then there's what looks like a large, really dynamically, beautifully sculpted werewolf or something like a werewolf. He's leaning back and howling, and the muscle sculpts on this are amazing, like the detail. And he's holding what looks like twin, either stone or maybe obsidian daggers. It's hard to tell because he's not painted in this picture. It looks like a 3D mock-up, but looks fantastic. What a great sculpt of a werewolf there. Now, is that guy larger than a human, or is he normal? He's a human size, or
he's larger than a human. I think a great way to depict the size of some of these beasts in our game are. If you watch the movie, it's an epic B movie. It's called Dog Soldier. Yeah. It's a British movie filmed, I think, in Ireland, if I'm not mistaken. And those werewolves have always appealed to me because they're werewolves done right.
Mm.
The original Howling, if you guys remember
Yes,
this
I
old,
do, yeah.
early 80s movie,
Old classic.
again, if you guys remember, one of the characters turns into a werewolf inside like a nurse's office.
Yep.
And he's kind of behind this like old nurse's curtain, and he kind of starts bubbling and freaking out, and this girl, another main character's sitting behind it, and she sees him finally kind of lurch out, and he stands 5-6 feet over the top of this nurse's thing, which is 7 feet tall,
Right.
or whatever, and you're just overwhelmed by the sheer mass of this creature, and you think, holy crap, I just peed myself, like this guy would rip me to shreds. That's what these creatures in our fluff are about, and it's, mind you, and again, without spoiling some of the stuff you're going to read about in the rule book and in the comics, these creatures, you will find out why they are what they are, and what that specific character you're looking at actually is, why he's in that actual position, pose, and what he's carrying later on. But it is one of our main characters, and he's really badass.
Now, so I'm looking at him now, and he's got clearly, it looks like the bit of garb he has, because he's wearing a loincloth, but he's got ties on his biceps and around his neck that look a little Native American in origin there.
Absolutely. Yes, you are correct.
So
very observant.
Now, I'm guessing. I would guess. Someone asked me, and I don't know. I just know people work on the project, but no one's told me anything. I would guess there's some
Russ
kind of.
is right now feeling a little betrayed.
No. I'm doing I'm right now the avid. So on forums, there's always people speculating when they see a new model. Here's going to be his ability.
Right.
So I'm giving you that feedback right now. So this guy, I'm guessing there's going to be.
That this is Russ knows nothing about this.
I know
He's
nothing.
guessing, and if he goes into reality,
I'm speculating.
Into reality, we're not going to tell.
This is the part where the fans just start making crap up because the guys who are running the game won't tell anybody because they have to wait. So I'm just telling you, this looks like, I'm guessing there's going to be some kind of Native American faction that is kick butt and obviously involves werewolves. That's my thing there.
Right. So one of the things that we said earlier is that we do treat every problem in that time period on an equal playing field. And what I mean by that is that in that time, the Native Americans of various cultures, Cherokee, the Crow, and all the other different kinds that are out there at the time, those people were considered to be kind of underpowered, and they were being run over more or less by the U.S. and the Union, and pushing forward and pushing west, and they're losing their land, and they're not in our world. These people have stood up, and there is a reason why and how that gets revealed throughout the fluff that makes you really, again, feel for them, as these guys are the good guys until they shred somebody to death that is a young boy in the Union Army, and they rip his arms off. And then you're like, wait a minute, that was the good guy, and now these guys are really bad, but you can side with them and understand why they're doing what they're doing and what this is about. So
the next picture is this awesome looking demonic, I don't know if it's a draft horse or a short donkey, but it looks really cool. So now I'm going to speculate that there's going to be an entire faction of rabid mules.
Yes, of course.
That is mine. No, it looks really cool. It's obviously some kind of demonically possessed, which goes back and ties into that demonic eye. So there's definitely some kind of like corruption element going on here, apparently. That's my guess, just based totally on a little draft.
You're close but far at the same time.
Okay.
Is that a fair enough assessment?
I don't know. You tell me. I don't write the stuff. But there you go. But it looks really cool. I mean, it looks really cool. So there's some kind of evil thing going on there.
And that's a game mechanic, actually, that the picture you're looking at is what we call a light support choice. And that will make sense when you read the rules of what light support choices are and how they work in the game. And the light support choice in the model you're looking at is actually an evening out of mechanics for gameplay versus another piece of the game which goes to the other factions.
And I will say he's wearing a saddle, which implies to me that there will be mounted rules in the starter game.
Yes,
there you go. Nice. Up next, there's a really, really cool looking pistol that's got all kinds of high-tech doodads on it. It reminds me very much of something you might seen in the Will Smith Wild West movie. That sort of alternate history Old West version where they had the really high-tech stuff intermixed with the old regular stuff. It looks very much like one of those, some kind of scope on top. just really, really cool diagram of a really beautiful little, very ornate, but also looking very deadly and high-tech.
That's the first picture he ever showed me at Gen Con.
Looks really cool.
It was.
Now, the last picture is the most interesting to me because it is actually a picture of what looks to be a painted model, so an actual finalized or at least semi-finalized sculpt.
Yes.
And what I find interesting about this is it looks like it clearly is a cowboy wearing a cowboy hat or something that looks like a cowboy with a large duster and standing on a wooden floorboard base. So, and he's wielding twin pistols, which looks really, really cool. It also looks like he's wearing sunglasses under his hat, which is interesting. But the most interesting and prominent part of this miniature is the fact that his arms, and indeed even part of his torso, appears to be entirely cyborg bits.
Yes.
So he's entirely mechanized, which immediately makes me think, holy crap, this is a really cool idea. It's sort of like if you look at War Machine and say, well, there's sci-fi mixed into my fantasy. This feels like, to me, it's like there's sci-fi mixed into my cowboys and engines.
Which is exactly what we're going for.
In no way a bad thing at all. I think that's like chocolate and peanut butter right there. How is that in any way bad?
And you are very right. I mean, I'll tell you who that character is. That's actually Jesse James.
Ooh, even better.
True Jesse James.
Does he make motorcycles?
What's that?
Does he make motorcycles in California?
Wrong, Jesse.
He does not. And he does not date unclean women, which is what California does. Sorry if that goes off topic here. But the one thing that, again, that model you point out that he looks like he's wearing sunglasses, and obviously if you saw the model you would see what it is. But what has happened with this technology is it's not about who's the fastest draw in the West anymore with the 6-shooter, because that's just not good enough anymore. That's not going to cut it. Now humans are realizing that the tables have turned. Technology is taking over. There is this constant fear of being killed for no apparent reason at all. And for that, you have to even at times alter your own physique to be able to just match up or then take advantage of situations. And in this case, Jesse James, seeing that the level playing field of the lawmen and the Union and other major factions are coming to par with him, now his old 6-shooters just aren't keeping up the speed. You know, these basic troopers have more powerful weapons than his 6-shooters, and how fast he is could ever match up. So he goes to a different part of a different character in the game, and he literally has his arms, his true human arms, removed and replaced with cybernetics, which then allow him to be faster, tougher, more accurate with his weapons. Again, the goggles you see aren't so much sunglasses as they are implants to allow him to sight in on his person he's combating and take him down quickly.
Nice. So he's very high tech, which is really cool for cowboy time. That's awesome. That's really cool, and I think it's fantastic. So if these are all going to be live on the website by the time they hear this, right? So head on over to Wild West Exodus to see. I think you'll definitely. Thanks for forwarding these, because it definitely gives you a good feel, I think, for the flavor of where you guys are heading with all this, which is just really, really fantastic and totally intriguing. And you're right. I mean, I think by looking at this, you can tell there is a lot of talent involved in everything. I can hear from your passion about it, and Craig's passion about it, the storytelling, obviously, but also the art direction here and the sculpt quality. I mean, this pose here of Jesse James is very dynamic. It looks really exciting. This looks really cool, Romeo. This is really neat.
Cool, man. Well, we hope people like it. Again, if it's something that you want to support, please keep an eye on the Kickstarter campaign, which will only help this project run instead of crawl out the gate. And we hope to be a part of a beautiful community of great companies and great games that are out there that we still enjoy and will continue to enjoy. We hope we can be even remotely as successful as some of them have been. Again, with the support of a good community, which we'll always listen to. I think is one of the most important things I've said to our team from day one, is that we'll always listen to what the gamers want and try our very best to accommodate them via their input, and the release schedule based on.
Now, have you guys? I know we're running along and we got to go soon, but. Have you revealed or thought about, or I mean, obviously thought about it, but have you revealed or anything who's actually doing the rule set for the game, or is it all in-house folks, or anybody we might know?
Of course, I mean, I could tell you, so the rule set right now is being designed by myself and Tom Shadle.
Oh, great.
Which is a Paint Fame, and that's the model you're seeing is painted by Tom. So we have been the kind of raw, sit down, play, test, write, and it is extremely difficult to write rules. I'll tell you that right now, because you have a really good idea and you have I unfortunately have the story in my head, so I'm thinking, ooh, I can see that visually is going to be awesome in a comic. I try to put that in the game, and it's completely overpowered, or it's completely underpowered, and it would never look as cool on the tabletop as it would in the comic because the rule doesn't make sense. So we are going to give it to a third party when it's finished to have it cleaned up. That person has asked that I don't reveal who he is because of current projects he's working on for other companies, but it is a very trusted source of rule creation in the industry, and we're delighted to have him as part of our team to not just fix the mistakes we've made in the way we've written them, but really to add his input and really clean it up and make it really juicy and a long-lasting rule set that is captivating.
Well, that's fantastic. That's very exciting. I can't wait to see how this evolves, Romeo. This is really, really cool. And Craig, congratulations on being involved in such an awesome project.
Well, I can't tell you how excited I am and how just stoked I've been, and the creative juices just have not stopped since day one. But speaking of that, I've been so busy that I have not been able to. Romeo's been trying to get me to playtest this game for over a month now, and I just haven't had the time. So hey, Russ, you want to playtest?
I was going to say, if you need someone to help you test these rules out, you know where I go every Tuesday.
We're gonna have a secret off
or more clandestine. That's fine too.
Night we'll be in the pub and we'll.
Awesome. I'm in. Sold.
So,
yeah, I'm all for it, and I think by January 1st is our goal to have I want to say final first draft of the rules, which is again final first, which means that it's going to be 10 finals before they're final. So that's going to be something that you are more than welcome to help and assist. And again, we want experts involved in this, and you guys have played every game and under the friggin' roof. I mean, your input's going to be extremely valuable to us, and we welcome it, of course.
Well, that'll be fun. I'm no expert, but I know it sucks.
Exactly. So we
love to try.
Suck. Key. No sucking.
Right. We try not to suck. I think it'll be awesome. I can't wait. I just want to. You know, I'm totally in fanboy mode here. I'm just like, I want to try this new thing. It looks awesome. So yeah, definitely. I'd be happy to see it and check it out. It looks, and I can't wait for our listeners to see this and to start getting feedback on it, because it just looks so cool. And what also is interesting about this, so many people launch Kickstarters that are so underdeveloped, and I think it's so clear from these early images, which are obviously not that early because you've gone through so many iterations, but it's so clear by how committed you are to the property, how well thought out this all is. I'd be shocked if you guys don't really get a really great groundswell right from the beginning of excitement around this. It just looks really cool. It's a great visual, and as Craig said, it's an area that is really much beloved and yet underdeveloped for. There's not that many games that really service this genre.
Yeah. One thing to mention real quick, because we've talked about the comic is actually something, as people go to our website now, if you look to the top right of it, you can subscribe to the comic now. For $22, you'll get the full year of comics. It's for the first year, we're only doing 6. We're doing every 2 months, and that's mainly because we have so many models to put out. We have to kind of split our time wisely so we don't completely kill ourselves.
Right.
So if you do want to start reading the fluff now, subscribe to the comic. You'll find that the comic is inexpensive for the stuff you're going to get, and it's going to basically bring you in from a point where once the rulebook's released in June, you will then tie everything back into it. So you're kind of reading almost like the movie The Thing. You saw the Kirk Russell, which is what happens after the Norwegians get attacked. But then you go back, 10 years, 15 years later, and you see what happened with the Norwegian, and it leads literally to where the dog's jumping through the snow and the Norwegian is shooting at him with the rifle. And you're like, oh my God, that ties in perfect. That's how this is going to go. So if you subscribe to the comic, you're going to have, several months before the rulebook comes out to bring you back to day one to understand why this gentleman with this iron mask is where he is and how he's gotten this way, why these characters inside are fighting and what they're fighting into, and so on. So it's going to be a really fun way, and it's one of the things I love about movies when they play that backwards role, which I think people will like. So check out the comic, and again, it's only $22.
Yeah, that's not bad for
6 issues, which Craig is going to put nothing but blood, sweat, and tears in. So God bless him.
I'm starting to cry right.
It's going to be awesome, guys. Well, Romeo, thank you so much for taking the time to come on the Lost Chapters with us and announce this great project here with us. Very excited and thanks for hiring my friend Craig. It's awesome. It's just really cool. I'm excited for both of you so much. This is great.
Probably the easiest guy to work with on the team, by the way. P.S.
See, look at
Just
this.
happy to be here.
Look at all this.
Everybody else is an artist, so everybody else has got fragile feelings I have to deal with every day.
I'm not an artist.
I didn't want to say it, but I think that's what he just said. All right, that's awesome. Well, guys, best of luck to both you and with this project. After seeing these images, I have little doubt that it will be extremely successful and very popular. And I know I will be first in line to hit the subscribe button once it goes live here on Monday. I can't wait.
Awesome, man. Awesome. We're happy to have you, and thank you all to the listeners for giving it a chance. We hope to see you.
Fantastic. So again, what's one more time for the website, Romeo?
WildWestExodus.com. And, of course, follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook to see even newer stuff posted almost on a minimum on a weekly basis. But we're going to shoot for something cool every day for the next couple months. So
Awesome. I am pressing the like button now.
Awesome.
Thanks for purchasing a D6G Lost Chapter. Supporting the show helps it grow.